What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We are so excited to see you, even if it is partially remote, and we're excited to bring you today's workshop. The goal of this workshop is going to be to start fast. We want to start fast this year, and the way that we're going to do that is by clearly identifying what it is we hope to accomplish over the course of the year. We will then work together to map a path toward that outcome, but we need your help. In fact, that's the key to everything we're doing. We have a great curriculum built out for you. We know that the training programs that we have are effective, but really to make this ideal and to help you reach your peak, we're gonna need your input. So here's how this is gonna go. We're gonna jump right in. It's super basic. Step one, and you'll notice this has been shared with you either via Canvas or through your Google Drive. Step one is very straightforward. We want you to dream and dream big. Okay, in the book Good to Great by the author Jim Collins, he refers to these things called BHAG, B-H-A-G, big, hairy, audacious goals. Think big, think far, not totally unrealistic, but ambitious, truly ambitious. And that's what we want you to do first. Go ahead and dream. Now, we're gonna ask that you keep the dream specific to an athletic or kinetic wellness or health and wellness realm. So I'll give you a couple examples. Maybe your goal is to make the varsity football team. Maybe your goal is to win a championship as a girls volleyball player. Maybe that's a conference or a regional championship. Whatever it is, we want you to dream, okay? And when you do it, we want you to really take time to imagine if you're picturing winning or if you'd like to win a volleyball championship, I want you to picture hoisting the trophy with your teammates. Okay, think about what that would feel like. Think about how excited you would be. Think about just the group photos afterwards. Really try to get into the moment. So identify something to work toward. We're gonna use this as sort of the light at the end of the tunnel for the year. This is gonna be our overarching purpose. Now, that dream can evolve as the year goes on. In fact, the whole map can evolve, as we'll explain in a moment, but we've gotta start with something specific. So dream big and identify exactly what you want. Now, that's stage one. You can't be wrong there. That's totally personalized and it's all up to you. Stage two, now we begin our goal setting. Okay? Now, if we talk about a big dream and a mission and a purpose, that's different than goal setting. Goal setting, the way we look at it, is this is sort of the dream is sort of at the end of the road. The goals are signposts that we can follow along the path toward the dream. Okay, for an example, I'm going to use the the volleyball example. So say the dream is to be the best volleyball player that you can be so that you win a regional championship. And again, you're picturing yourself hoisting that trophy. Well, maybe one of your goals, this has got to be strength and conditioning specific, okay, based on the class. Maybe one of your strength and conditioning goals is to improve your vertical jump in a significant way. Improve vertical jump, okay? That seems like it makes sense. It seems like a reasonable goal that aligns with and fuels the dream that you had. The next step is going to be very straightforward. And that is just going to be you identifying why you think that is true. Okay, so you're gonna have three goals. I've only put one down here just for ease of use. So goal number one is vertical jump. Maybe goal number two was, I don't know, improve lateral quickness in the Pro Agility Shuttle. Maybe goal number three was 1.75 times body weight for a back squat. It's totally up to you, but whatever you decide, whatever these signposts along the path toward your dream might be, we want you to rationalize it. We want you to explain to us and understand for yourself, work to understand for yourself why an increase in your vertical jump is going to help fuel your dream, again in this hypothetical case, of winning a championship in volleyball. Okay, once we've done the work of identifying our strength and conditioning dream, or goal rather, to fuel our dream, and then done the work of articulating why we think those are connected, we're then going to move to what we call the bedrock level. So we're going to set goals that are, or standards for ourselves, in the realm of eat, move, and sleep. So if you want to know more about this, check out the video on the bedrock concepts, but essentially eat, move, sleep, nutrition, training or exercise, and of course rest. These are essential, oftentimes, to accomplishing our strength and conditioning goals. Now, for the sake of this example, I'm going to focus on sleep. For whatever reason, in our observations with athletes, and just in schools in general, unfortunately, sleep is a too often overlooked component of athletic success. So let's go ahead and say that we fully understand why the restorative properties of sleep are so essential to meet our training goals, which will ultimately fuel our dreams, that we decide to set a standard for ourselves within the sleep category of 8.5 hours per night. Now I'm going to slow down and walk through that one more time. Remember, you've got your dream. You've got your strength and conditioning goals that will fuel that dream. We are now in this phase moving on to an eat, move, and sleep goal that will help support your strength and conditioning goals. So again, focusing on sleep, I'm going to aim for 8.5 hours per night. Now, the National Sleep Foundation, the CDC, and a host of governing bodies that study this sort of thing, they actually would recommend 8, 9, or even 10 hours of sleep for an adolescent, depending on training load. If you're a serious athlete, 8.5, I would even suggest is almost on the low end if you want to fully recover from your training, from your time training. So let's go ahead and say that 8.5 hours is my goal. Well, guess what? One more time, we are going to ask you to explain why. Now, I just cited some sources, and maybe that's something you want to do as well, but what you might be able to say is that there are a certain amount of hours of sleep that are associated with positive outcomes in terms of training performance. That research is out there, but whatever it is, your nutrition, your eat, move, and sleep goals, you're going to set a goal and then rationalize and explain and work toward understanding as to why these goals support these goals. Finally, we are going to get super actionable, and you are going to create action steps for your eat, move, and sleep goals. So action steps, I believe you're asked to have 3 action steps. These are going to be very specific to you. Now, of course, you can build this out as much as you want, as much as is reasonable. But let me think, what would the action steps for me be if I were trying to get 8.5 hours of sleep a night? Well, the first thing I would do is count backward from my wake up time. That may seem silly, but it's an often overlooked component of sleep hygiene. So if my alarm is set to go off at 7 a.m., hypothetically, and I want to get 8.5 hours of sleep, I'd count back and find myself at 10:30 p.m. Now, I know myself well enough to know that I don't hit the pillow and I'm just out, right? So what I'd actually do is I would set a bedtime goal of 10 or 10:15. Okay? So I'm going to set, the first thing for me is to have a really clear bedtime goal. So if I'm not in bed by 10:15, I know that the 8.5 hours based on my morning wake up time wouldn't be possible. Okay, let me also be reflective and say this. I know something about myself, and I know, sometimes I like to unwind at the end of the day. Maybe I'm watching Netflix in the evening. Okay, if I have a bedtime goal of 10:15, I've actually done this in real life. This is no longer hypothetical. I will set an alarm about an hour before my bedtime goal, and this is my trick. An hour before my bedtime goal, which reminds me of my dream and essentially tells me whatever I'm doing, start shutting it down and move toward your sleep or your bedtime goal. So I would say number 2, I would set a pre-sleep alarm. It's one of my action steps, which allows me to begin winding down and preparing for sleep. Now, number 3, I'm actually going to say temperature. Now, you're going to learn in the class all sorts of factors that go into sleep, how light affects your sleep, how psychological stimuli affect your sleep from social media and from movies and things like that, how temperature affects your sleep, okay? And that's one of the biggest things for me personally. I've recognized that if it's too hot, I just cannot sleep, okay? So one of my action steps to support my goal is going to be adjust the temperature in the room so that I can get adequate and healthy sleep. Again, building all this back, what we will be left with at the end of our time together, at the end of this workshop and your time working on it, is a clear set of action steps for each one of these goals that fuel the goals. So a clear set of action steps which fuel my sleep goal, which fuels my strength and conditioning goal, which will ultimately, hopefully, lead me closer to my dream. You see how that works? We are, again, developing a path to take us exactly where we want to go. Now, this can evolve over time. We can ask ourselves a question, is what we're doing effective? And if it's not, maybe we reevaluate. We'll also have a conversation of how to apply this sort of thinking to other areas of our life. Maybe you want something like this in your academic life. Maybe you want something like this in your relationships in your life, something thoughtful and deliberate. And here's the big trick. This is the really cool part, I think. Although we all obviously want to accomplish our dream, the trick here is whether or not we get there. If we've designed a thoughtful process, then all of this effort, what we will sometimes call the discipline of wellness, all these steps that we've taken to eat better, move better, sleep better, discipline our lives toward health and wellness, it will be valuable on its own. Now, we definitely want to take you toward your dream, but I think we have to progress toward it with a little bit of humility and know that regardless of the outcome, the process will have been worth it. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.